Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Split Peak Soup Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney, and I'm here with a Pleasure Point Kingpin, my good friend, Adam Replogle. Rody, what's up, buddy?
Right on, Neil. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Stoked to see you doing this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Been having a really good time having cool people come on the podcast. You know, for 20 years, I was a journalist, so I'd have all these great conversations with people, and then when the magazine came out, maybe like 2 or 3 of the sentences would come out from the interview. So
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate this long format kind of style of getting to just chat with people. So stoked to have you. What's new, man?
Nothing much new. I mean, I get a new shoulder here pretty soon. Pretty stoked on that. Dr. Eric Hohn's going to put in a new shoulder for me. He's already done my hip, so he's already seen everything else. So I might as well get another body part from him. So I'm stoked. Yeah.
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 How'd that all start out? I mean, as surfers, we're just it's wear and tear, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things, wear and tear, just years of abuse. And then, I filled up the green can one day, the recycle can, and tried to lift it up and felt a little burn. And then a couple surfs, one with Ryan Augenstein, one with my buddy Alistair, and just pulled it and tore it a little bit more and got to a certain point where I couldn't even really sleep.
Dude, that's no fun.
That's all good. It'll get fixed up. It'll be better.
And this is interesting because you mentioned your hip and Eric Hohn.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy because I had both of mine done at the same time 5 years ago. You've had both of yours done.
Yep.
Julian has had both of his done. EK just had both of his done. I'm sure there's like tons of other guys, but in your like peer group, would you say that any of the other friends around the world or at different places in like California are getting this type of joint destruction at an early age?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have much to do with cold water, in your opinion?
No. It seems like there was maybe some repetitive motion, wear and tear over a long period of time, and then obviously some impact that might have, been high impact to the joint, tearing up some cartilage and so on and so forth. But I just think repetitive action, surfing bigger waves sometimes, getting rolled around, sort of a car wreck type of wipeouts. And just over time, you just get sort of worn out. Oh, after I posted mine on the computer, just, bragging about how much weed I was smoking after post-surgery, people are reeling into me, like, I'm getting mine done. I can't believe you got yours done so early, Adam, so on. So, but I had a osteoarthritis, and I just had degenerative hips. And so over a period of time, they just sort of wore out. They would have wore out naturally. And actually, another thing too, I was born with my feet upside down.
Whoa.
So when I came out of the womb, my feet were tucked up under my calves, and so they had to put these braces on me at an early age and sort of straighten my legs out. Now, the orthopedic surgeon, Eric Hohn, after telling him about that, he said most likely I was out of alignment from day one.
Yeah.
So my alignment walking, my gait was wrong, and probably wearing out my cartilage before I even knew I was wearing it out.
Right.
And then surfing and wear and tear, and then just life.
Yeah, you got a little head start on that. Yeah. I had femoral acetabular impingement, so it's just like the way that my femurs were cooked into there. It was like not that on its own was going to cause me to blow my hips out in my early 20s, but the fact that I was fucking skateboarding every day, surfing every day, that stuff is just, it's a lot of impact,
Yeah, I don't think our joints were meant for extreme sports,
Yeah.
I look at my mom and my dad too, and they weren't physical. They weren't like athletic physiques, and so what I put my body through was maybe a little more than what it was going to be prepared for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking about just body stuff, you just had your pre-op for some shoulder stuff.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Really stoked to get my shoulder worked on, and I would have done this actually 2 weeks ago. I think I would have already had my shoulder surgery, but I went in there. They hooked me up to these machines to see if I'm ready to get knocked out, and the EKG machine picked up something on my heart, and so they put that at a halt. I had to 2 weeks really. They told me on a Friday at 4:00, you need to go see a cardiologist, and so for 2 weeks I just bite my nails. I got to get it. First I got to get the referral, then I got to get in there, then I get an appointment, so on and so forth. So I'm just excited now and stoked that I can get the surgery. Stoked my heart's fine, and I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah, it's kind of scary when they get, they put you out under this anesthesia, and there's a lot of risk there with
Yeah.
bleeding, and just a lot of stuff can happen wrong. So as they're kind of crossing their T's and dotting their I's, they're going through all these little kind of precautions to make sure everything's cherry. But for you, that just that moment of being told, like, oh, well, we have a concern here about your heart, and you think, whoa, heart, like that's the main frame there, that's my life pulsar.
Then they ask you a couple questions too. They'll ask you, hey, do you have any heart disease or heart problems in your family? And I'm like, well, my dad died at 56. My brother died in his 30s, from heart problems. So
yeah,
they checked me out, and I'm totally stoked. I'm actually glad that I went through that. Not that I wanted to wait 2 weeks and just bite my nails for 2 weeks, but just to go through that type of test. They were like, well, you didn't do the dye test or the stress test, but I did 2 weeks of stress test.
Yeah.
These last 2 weeks I was just biting my nails. It was sort of a nightmare, but I'm glad I got through it, and here I am.
Yeah, well, you'll feel so good once you're back out in the water regularly.
Right.
And with the shoulders, it's like that's some certain injuries you can kind of like brush off or minimize as far as surfing goes. But yeah, that's our power to get into the waves, and it's got to be pretty frustrating. Weren't you mentioning that Flea had similar like shoulder?
Yeah, I
stuff
think he has the
on?
same issues as me. He's got some chicken shoulder, that's going out on him.
Yeah.
And interesting thing enough too is like I paddle my last stroke into a wave usually is my right hand. It's a dig, my last big dig. Left hand on the deck, right hand on the deck. Extend, and I couldn't do that last dig. So yeah, and it was painful. I can't believe how painful shoulders are. Like really painful. Like sit in the couch, do nothing type of pain. Like, move, you're hurt. Type of pain.
And when you have like, I know that you're a frequent marijuana user.
Oh yeah.
When something like this happens, do you like look for bigger guns, like an edible or something like that?
You have to, because obviously just burning weed is more of a cerebral thing in your brain, a little more than it is a physical thing. Once you digest it through your liver, it's more of a physical body. You can feel it through your body. So yeah, I've been I don't mind taking the edibles. Just when I want to sort of have my whole body calm down. I'm totally into cannabis. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for so long it was part of my regular type kind of program, just burning all day and also having chronic pain. It was like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm doing this because of my pain. And then I realized when I tried to quit, I was thinking like, oh my God, like, I can't eat dinner without being stoned. I can't watch a movie without being stoned. And slowly over time, I realized that like, no, you can.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, there's this weird kind of resistance to letting go of something. And I think also too, as I started to get older, like you're talking about how like, especially smoking weed, that cerebral kind of high,
yeah,
it started to turn against me to where all these like existential thoughts and like deep, heavy, like, who is Neil? Like ego, like almost like a psychedelic kind of experience. But I think maybe that probably has something to do with like not smoking regularly. And like when your tolerance goes back down and then you smoke, it can be overwhelming. Do you ever get kind of tripped out when you smoke a little bit too much weed?
No, it's when I don't smoke enough.
Yeah.
I start to come into reality. No. No. I mean, obviously there is that change in your metabolism over time, I think, that everyone goes through, I try not to burn as much as I used to, and there's no really time for it now.
Right.
There's responsibilities or things to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I'll take the edible.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, you're right. You could have the opposite effects, For years, I used it as motivation. I traveled around the world with it, to be honest with you. Every single stop on the tour, any place I went, I had it with me.
Yeah.
And, and every event, I had it with me, And so, and then there was a handful of guys on tour that they all were winking at you too.
Yeah.
Because they had it with them too.
Yeah, it was classic. I was in Bali in like 2008, and I obviously don't have weed there. Like,
you go down if you had.
You go down if you have weed.
You don't want to talk about it there.
Yeah, you don't. And I was surfing Karamas, and we were hanging out with Benji Weatherly, and he knew that I had some pain problems. I came in and my back was all messed up, and then we after he came in from surfing, he saw me just all buckled laying on the floor, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "You want to smoke some weed?" I was all, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come here." And then we went behind the warung. Back then there was this little shitty warung at Kramas, and there's a little like creek trickling there, and he pulls out this like big old nug of this like pus, like Cali weed, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, and anyways, we got like 2 stoned, and then he's like, "Yeah, I travel everywhere in the world with these in my underwear," and like I was tripping on that, like especially in Bali.
Well, you don't want to give these. You don't want to give the places away. Well,
Yeah.
Now with the X-rays and stuff, you can't bring it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to sit in that X-ray machine and you're going to go like this, and things go.
Yeah.
You got anything in any crevasse,
Right.
Any orifice.
Yeah.
They got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
too, a lot
God.
of places now you really don't need to bring it. It's pretty nice now. You just show up and they got it. You know.
Right.
So, yeah. Even places that were sort of taboo.
But yeah, I still think you're not probably going to be trying to want to be too, forward with your weed smoking in places like Bali.
And we never really have. I mean, I don't burn in public. You know. I just talk about it on air, and then you're going to put it out to the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty private when it comes to that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm more public when it comes to having a Coors Light with the boys down the street, you know. Maybe have a beer with the boys down there. It's a slab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talking just a little bit about like your time on tour, especially we're on this weed subject. I know that they started with this like drug testing thing, or
Yeah.
the threat of drug testing
Well,
at
they
some
did it.
point.
Yeah,
And then they seemed like they rolled it out a little bit harder. Was there any point during when you guys were on tour, it was like probably like a little bit less of a deal?
Well, I don't know so much that they were testing for that per se, you know. I think they were looking for more sports enhancing.
Right.
Maybe recovering from major injuries too quickly or something, you know, or someone
Yeah.
just blew their back out. They can't walk, and then they're the next event, you know.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy?
Right.
Nah, but when it came to the burn-in, you know, there are those tests too. You know, I think at the ISA, if you get caught with any type of THC in your system, you're clipped.
Yeah.
You know, but you can be slugging tequila all night and Coronas all night.
Yeah.
805s all night long,
Corona Ceros.
and no problem.
Right.
You know, me at my worst, I had that tequila in me for sure. It was never the weed. Weed was never my problem. You know?
Yeah.
We if I burned more, I'd drink less. You know, and so it's interesting now though that the events. I wish they were sponsored by weed companies. You know, now you see the big Corona or 805 or it's a Cuervo. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to be targeting to the youth with alcohol and drugs, you know. So
Yeah.
to me, I mean, I don't know who the demographic is for the WSL, but to be promoting alcohol to those people doesn't seem to be the best channel, you know. Not to say I want to see, you know, the WSL sponsored by Wave Rider Nursery, you know, some crap. But I wouldn't mind it, you know, it'd be pretty classic.
Yeah. It would
I think
be.
it more, you know, the lifestyle, burning and surfing and yeah, you know, beach lifestyle has alcohol and weed in it. Sorry, you know it does.
Yeah.
So you know, there's beach blanket type lifestyle, and that's sort of where we enjoy the beach. You know, people like to have a drink and take a smoke and enjoy the sunset, sunrise, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think the problem with alcohol, though, is just that there's that point to where you get too saturated with alcohol. It stops from being like a little kind of like social thing to like, yeah, Billy's really doing a number on his liver, you know, or Billy's sleeping on the fucking under the bridge now or whatever. And like with weed, you know, you might get stoned, sleep through your alarm clock or something, or you know, eat all those, you know, Toll House cookies or something late night. But it's like the societal impact is pretty mild, you know. So
Yeah, one's accepted though, and it's terrible, and one's not so accepted and maybe not so bad. So.
that's what I mean. Yeah, it's the alcohol. It's just, I mean, how many people we've known that have gone down from it? It's just, it's staggering, and it's
I
it's
think
horrible.
every family probably has it.
Yeah, every family definitely does. And well, speaking about family, you know, not many people know this, but you've got like, what, 6 siblings? 7?
Yeah. I have quite a few siblings. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 6 siblings. My mom had 6 kids, 3 different husbands, so I got a lot of different last names in there. And then when my father passed away, my mom adopted my siblings from my biological father's second marriage.
Yeah.
So then we had like 8 kids. And I'm second to the oldest. I have a really sort of a well-known brother, Todd Replogle, who's a computer programmer. He did this video game in the 90s called Duke Nukem, made a shit ton of money and became a recluse. I have a younger brother, Jacob, who's now the undersheriff here at the Sheriff's Department. And so that's really cool. My sister, Marcy, works at the hospital. And then got another brother, AJ, who's down in Costa Rica. My sister, Katie's up in Oregon. I have a brother who's probably homeless in Watsonville.
Oh, damn.
And my other brother's passed away who was on the streets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full spectrum, normal family from around here.
Yeah.
Couple gnarly ones, couple that are doing good, and then, just a couple just average Joes,
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just interesting, and because that you, at least, for people around here, especially for a kid like me, who's maybe 15 or 16 years younger than you, growing up on Pleasure Point, like, you're like fucking world famous to me. Like, you're like gnarly famous to me, in my mind, But then you just kind of describe that you have these other brothers who are really well known in their own field.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever feel like small potatoes at family reunions?
Well, just think about being in Santa Cruz now in the 70s or 80s and 90s around here. Surfers and skaters sort of dominated around here, Now it's Revenge of the Nerds. The nerds are winning around here, to be honest with you. Yeah. They own the neighborhood. They bought the houses. They bought the cars. They live in the surf and the lineup. Days of getting a house at Pleasure Point for $600 and throwing 3-year bros in there for $200 a room are over.
Yeah.
So there's $1 million houses at Pleasure Point. Nobody can really sort of afford it. And you're seeing who is able to afford it,
Yeah.
A lot of the local people here are doing, adding an ADU to their house, sort of subdividing a unit, making a unit. But yeah, it's challenging to live here. You can see why some of the guys that we grew up with have left. A lot of friends of ours have gone up to Oregon or gone to the Central Valley or, say, Mexico, Costa Rica.
Yeah.
It's expensive here.
It's super expensive. And yeah, I think a lot of the times, like especially in my generation, where it just feels like there was a little bit less opportunity as we came into our adulthood. There was the global economic crash in 2008 and all these exacerbating factors to where, and I'm sure your generation as well, but like my parents, they could afford to buy this property, or actually my grandpa bought this in like 1957, but they are able to afford to remodel, pay the mortgage off, and all that stuff. But now it just feels like the people who are still around here have some kind of generational wealth to fall back on.
Oh, you would have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that there's many people working on this side of the hill that can afford the mortgage.
Yeah.
That's on this side of the hill.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Which brings me to my next thing. I've been crushing real estate.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What's up with that?
Alistair Kraft and I've been working with Alistair for a little while. It's been a lot of fun. Working with Sereno Christie, a local brokerage here, and just getting my knees dirty, elbows dirty, and trying to get involved in that industry. It's really, really competitive, really challenging, and it takes a long time for someone to sort of have trust in you to, purchase or sell the biggest, purchase of their life. So yeah, it's been a trip. Worked with Rufo, was able to help sell his house with Alistair. Same with Peter Mel and Tara. They had a house down there over off of Buena Vista.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, just trying to figure it out, after surfing and after Billabong, the surf shop there, went under. I've been sort of unemployed and working at this new little surf shop and not really making any money, so I went and got my real estate's license and have been just really trying to do that. It's just really, really challenging, to say the least, Yeah. And a lot of people are trying to do it, around here. You just have to sell a couple of houses around here to pull it off.
Sure.
But I mean, shoots, there's like, we're talking about family members. Every family's got 2 or 3 agents in the family. So, yeah. I just got to hub up to my friends that are, they're getting divorced. Those are my bros now. Everyone getting divorced, I'm going to be sending them cards.
Yeah.
And when grandma dies.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect timing.
Because that's really about the only, like anybody locked into a house around here that has had it for a while probably has great interest rates, or they're probably sitting pretty.
Right.
Nobody really wants to sell, unless you're forced to.
And how does how do you get into real estate as far as like learning the chops? Is there like a course that you take? Is there like to get licensed? What do you
Yeah,
have
we went through the whole process of getting licensed. Took us a while, about half a year to test and to do that process. Maybe even more. I'm dyslexic, so I read everything probably 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a minute. Yeah, it takes a while. Then I really wanted to hub up against somebody that could help me show me the ropes and that was sort of established in the industry. Alistair Kraft had helped me at Billabong. He was also my boss one time at O'Neill's as well. He was the marketing director there. So I've known Alistair for years and years, and said if I ever got my license, come check him out, and he would partner up with me. And so it's been a fun ride. Still, like I said, it's challenging. It's not like you just start listing and buying homes for people. It really takes a while for people to get that trust with you.
Yeah, and what do you think like the biggest personality traits that would serve at being a successful real estate agent? Obviously, friendly.
Well, of course, yeah, well-educated, friendly, someone who knows the ins and the outs of the area in which you're trying to get into, knows the best schools or the best beaches, and maybe takes the time to figure out, look at sort of those non-negotiables that you're really trying to look into, so you want a big yard, you got a lot of kids, you want acreage in the mountains, whatever it may be. Listening more.
Yeah. And is there a point where you kind of have this trial period where you're talking to prospective buyers and you put in a lot of work into it, but then for some reason they just peel out on you? And
of course, yeah. Of course, and obviously there's the relationship I want with anybody I'm working with. I want them to want to work with me, and if they don't want to work with me, well, so they're not working with me. I shouldn't take that personally. But yeah, I want to create relationships with people that want to work with me. And, unfortunately sometimes, things go, a little south, or things don't work out, or somebody decides to go be represented by somebody else. And around here, that's pretty common, Look, there's Randy Brown, there's Big Ray, Nat Young is a real estate agent, Sean Poutier. There's all kinds of agents around here, Mark Vincent's an agent. So there's a lot of people around here that we know that are surfers, that are agents, that a guy out in the lineup could just go, hey, there's 6 guys right now in the pack that would love to jump on you. Mm-hmm. Sort of farming your neighborhood, farming your friends when it comes to trying to figure out who's potentially in the future going to work, because that's really what it is. It's sort of planting the seed for the future, mm-hmm. And things just roll out over time. So it might take me 5-10 years to get established in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then just going back to like your family life, you had a big family.
Yeah.
And as many kids in Pleasure Point and Capitola, this whole area, maybe all of Santa Cruz, especially during the time when you're coming of age, there was a lot of like broken homes and a lot of just kind of like the kids were escaping these situations at home and just kind of running wild in the street. And I feel like me, Bud, James, Mans, all those guys, and Darshan, it feels like we were one of the last generations to like be like a 25 pack, the Pleasure Point. But was there anything going on that you remember during those times, like in your friends' families, where it just like you saw that happening, or if it did happen to yourself?
It was just naturally that there was a lot of attraction to Pleasure Point just for the surf skate lifestyle. Rent was cheap up there, right? So it was relatively inexpensive to get a house. You mentioned it, a lot of kids from broken homes, a lot of latchkey kids, a lot of parents working all day, kids home alone. It was really common for there to be a bunch of safe houses at Pleasure Point. Benji's house was our house. Bud's house, I remember you guys piled in over there. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few houses on Pleasure Point where they were just parents that weren't around, so those became the houses where people sort of congregated. I really don't know that it was anything other than just the attraction and what, I just want to be a part of that surf scene, and the surf group and stuff. So I don't know if it was just that, but that what was going on in the mid to early 80s was happening in nearly every beach mm-hmm. in the nation, Yeah. Everyone was seeing the same performers, Quicksilver Video. We all watched Free Ride. We all saw these movies, And wetsuits from logos that were promoted through magazines. Like we all wanted the Rip Curl Agro Light, Shane Horan, yellow, and so we were all groupies of surfing, and Pleasure Point was like going up there. Sometimes you were thought, you were in the OP Pro or something, I'd see Marcel Soros or Mark Machado or some of the rippers up there, that we were looking up to. So there was always that inspiration up there. Being from Capitola, coming to Pleasure Point was like a trek, it was like, whoa, we got to go way up there. I remember when we found privates inside of privates, inside of privates, little wedge in there.
Yeah.
We found that we thought we found the wave. We thought we found the wave. We thought we found trees. Actually, we called it MLs because the Lansings and the Larsons, surfed it first. We thought they, we were in sort of a small little bubble, but getting up to Pleasure Point, there was kids that were 18, 19, 20 when we were 12, 13, and 14 who were already running amok, So there was some, good groups of influences, and then there were some bad groups of influences,
Yeah.
Yeah, because Squirrel was around those years, Roger Maris, some squirrely guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think, because I think about some of the past for me when I was a kid, kind of being introduced to pot at age 9 and alcohol probably a year after that. And where I kind of think back, and sometimes I describe this to other people who aren't from Santa Cruz, and they're like horrified. They're like, wait, what? Like at that young you're doing this? But I'm sure it's a common story around the nation, around the world. But do you look back at any of those times and think maybe that, I grew up a little bit too quick there on Pleasure Point?
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't seeing it out. I saw it in my own home.
Yeah.
I saw what I didn't need to see in my own house.
Right.
My brother Todd and I saw stuff that we shouldn't have saw, and we took some of the stuff we shouldn't have taken.
Yeah.
And usually it was more curiosity than anything, but yeah, getting pre-exposed almost, I think that desensitizing yourself to it is what happens. You start seeing stuff at a younger age or experience stuff at a younger age. It's not so much of a surprise as you get older. If you don't see those things when you're younger, it is a surprise when you get older. I remember seeing, the partying was big in my era. The partying was big with the groups above me, the generations above me, and the type of partying they were doing was way above me. I wasn't into that type of partying. I was still only buds and suds. I didn't like to stay up late. And so there was always that influence around here, so you could go either way, But yeah, I'm really fortunate that I didn't gravitate towards the compulsive drinking and drug using. I really like to be up in the morning early. I like to crack it. I like to drink my coffee and see the waves early. I like to wake up early, man.
Yeah.
So partying doesn't jibe with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially what do they call them in Australia? They call them the nose beers, the little white, the devil's dandruff. That shit, fucking, if you do that at night, then you're going to stay up all night. And then if you are lucky enough to get some sleep when you're getting back up, you feel like you just got freaking put on the rack or,
Well, that's what I like too about my system. I felt really bad. Hangovers really hurt me. I would really sort of reevaluate my whole life. If I had a bad enough hangover, I would reevaluate, just think about my whole life. And it's not something I want to do. I want to stay on a steady upward trajectory, of feeling good and gaining confidence. And if anything, that was just setting me back, sliding back downhill, sort of having a restart. So, yeah. But believe me, you're on the road and you lose a contest, you're partying.
Sure.
You're on the road and you're in an event and and you're doing good and someone wins, you're partying. So there was that type of dynamic too. It's like if you didn't, you'd partied, and because look, if you didn't win the contest, you wanted to win the nightlife. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, we went to every surf town's biggest week of their year.
Yeah.
For our contest. And if you didn't win the event or final the event, you raged.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have the best looking chick by the end of the week if you didn't win the contest.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing all the legwork at night.
Right.
Yeah. But it wasn't until the fun became like habitual for people. That seemed like years after where it was like, okay, this is not a party anymore. This is like maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's where it was sort of got scary.
Yeah, like just sad scenes where people are dope sick or crashing cars or something, and where the escalation of consequences just kind of goes exponential at some
Yeah.
point, and
Yeah. And
you better
people
have
really abused it, They
yeah,
didn't know,
right.
Some guys were given a lot of money at a young age and abused it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was going to talk about that too, because Santa Cruz, I mentioned this before we're on air, that particularly, I know that there were some guys before you who were getting some attention from the media and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it seems like your generation, you were just smack dab in this generation through your guys' work with
It was timing. We just
TR,
we
guys
just
like
got good
that.
timing. We didn't surf that good compared to these guys. You know what I mean? Like if you look back and see our group, they shred. Like look at Rap Boy Surf. You go back and look at Rap Boy Surfing or Nate Acker or Peter Mel as teenagers. They're holding up. They'd level up now. Seriously, they would level up now. They're power surfing, their rail game, their car. They might not have had all the errors at that time, except maybe for Ratty. But those guys level up to the guys nowadays. I don't know that, because of the magazines or what was going on, but like I'll go down and watch Sewer Peak now with that kid Otter Pop and Brody.
Yeah,
They're shredding, dude.
super hard.
They're shredding. I watched AJ and Alex one day out at Sewer Peak this last year, and just annihilate the place.
Yeah.
Now there's no outlet for them now, though. There's no magazine. There's no sponsorship. There's no nothing. You have to just sort of love it for the love of it.
Yeah.
And so what you were mentioning there is that we were sort of fortunate at the time that we started to peak in surfing, or the magazines were pumping. That's the medium. It wasn't Instagram. It was magazines and sponsors. It wasn't, Instagram and 805s and Coronas yet,
Yeah.
And so if you had a good main sponsor and you did get some advertisement, you got into the magazines, you got some editorial shots, you got to go on the trips, and you got to get some, sponsors, AB sponsors, that sort of helped you along the way.
Yeah, and also, like you mentioned, the magazines, I feel like there was this, not infatuation, but just this kind of interest in, maybe curiosity into the Santa Cruz phenomenon. Like these guys up the north, they surf in these cold water with all these sharks around, and they party, and they they're into punk rock music. It seemed like there was like kind of this little like edge. And so when I was gonna mention about the young kids getting money all of a sudden, and some of them were getting paid maybe more based on their profile, the way that they carry themselves. So my question to you is that, do you think that encouraged some bad behavior, or just unhealthy stuff?
Well, it's interesting now that you can be, say, a quote unquote professional surfer without being a competitive surfer, And so being a professional surfer years ago, you had a couple different outlets. You could be a model, surfer, like sort of like they are now with their own Instagram. They're taking their own pictures, doing their own media. But we had surfers like that in the 90s too, that were more sort of model surfers. They were going, wow, this guy's strictly here for his looks. I mean, he surfed probably good, but was way better looking than you.
Right.
The women did that early on, though. They were hiring hot girls as models. They could barely surf.
Yeah.
And now the chicks rip, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate that magazine has stopped, because it did allow for a lot of capital, a lot of money to get filtrated into the marketing budget. It was justified. You could sell a lot of stuff usually. And it was a fun time. You can't do what you did 10 years now, and you can't do in 10 years from now. You can't do what you're going to do today.
Yeah.
So as it evolves, it seems like the kids that are on the pulse of it, you have to do everything. You got to be good looking. You got to market yourself. You got to get good contest results. You got to charge. Your parents got to be, willing to sort of subsidize your competitive, dreams, in hopes that you get to the top, because the top now is the only place that is making the money, unless you're, the top 5 on Instagram or something.
Yeah. With surfing, I have a hard time bridging this gap in my mind. It feels like to me, and I mentioned this on a couple other podcasts, it feels like to me that there's more people surfing than ever.
I'm
so, yeah. And my question is that if there's more money now, why wouldn't there be more, like, why would guys be on the tour without a main sponsor? You know, like, is it basically, my question is in the vein of like, is these corporate people who are running surfing now, they don't think surfing's as cool, or they're not into it, so they don't see the value into doing cool shit like the OP challenge and Maverick's big wave events, because I'm sure that those guys maybe lost money putting on events like that in the past, but they're willing to do it for the culture.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure they look at it more now like an RTI, like your return on your investment or whatever, you know, like trying to, maybe if it doesn't pencil out, they don't do it.
Right.
You know? If it doesn't look like it's going to make them money, they don't do it. They're not just doing it for marketing sakes now. You know?
Right.
Where it seemed like for a long time, companies were willing just to throw an event or put up a big budget for a film and maybe take a loss on it, but for marketing purposes and promotion. I think it's ripe right now for companies to come in that are like small, new companies, you know, to come into the industry or come into surfing, because it's not so much, well, put it this way. For years, there was like 5 or 6 companies that ran everything. And all those guys were in cahoots with everybody, you know, in the industry. So every event that had one major sponsor, Quicksilver, Billabong, Rip Curl, O'Neill's, they all had their event. They all controlled their own marketing. They all controlled their webcast, everything. As soon as the magazines went down and the brands started to pull back as in these recessions, they realized that, hey, look, I'm probably not getting my return out of these events, you know, a couple $1 million making an event. I don't know how much they are. You know, my buddy Pat O'Connell runs them. I should ask him.
Yeah.
But because I don't think they're making money, you know, I don't think they're selling enough jerseys. I don't think they're selling enough airtime. I mean, I'm watching the contest for free, you know, they're not making money off me.
Right.
But yeah, now I heard the guys kind of potentially sell the brand, you know, the WSL. So I know surfing's sort of hurting right now. I wish it would get injected with some new type of blood, and maybe some new markets would like to take surfing for a ride, you know, because all the brands that were involved in it have sort of just squeezed everything out of it, you know, squeezed every nickel out of it, and there's no real marketing dollars to sponsor people, and there's no real chips to put up a big broadcast. And so they have to get production companies. They have to get Corona. They have to get, you know, 805 and Cuervo.
Yeah.
To keep this going. You know, if not, if this guy's Ziff, dude, and these alcohol companies weren't back in surfing, it'd be clipped. Mm-hmm. You know, there'd be nothing. But look, I'm more interested in watching guys like Mason Ho anyway. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather watch him or Clay Marzo any day of the week. You know, and just trip out on these guys and go, wow, what's this guy doing? You know, like, this guy looks like he's having more fun than anybody, you know. Of course, when I was younger, I was really into competition, wanted to be just comp. But as I've gotten older now, I'm just like, oh man, I just want to cruise around and carve around. And then I'm also attracted to that as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seeing different personalities kind of put that forward as rather than their contest prowess is refreshing. And yeah, I follow in with the contest. I watch it, I get excited, you know, but there's some stuff that I see that, you know, judging calls, priority calls, stuff like that, where you're just like, what the fuck? And
I like to have, for argument's sake, like heckle people, you know, or like, you know, I have a couple friends that we joust. Like Steve Coletta will give you like a 5-paragraph breakdown of a heat and analyze it pretty well. But yeah, the competitive side of just watching surfing is sort of boring, you know. I mean, I really do think it's like this last event was really boring, you know. It was unfortunate the swells were just inconsistent. It was boring. Not that I'm a big wave pool guy, but for wave pools, if they just keep them coming, I mean, it's pretty entertaining. They might get boring per se because it's the same thing over and over again. But look, I remember going to that Slater's pool. And the first year they went there was just a grinding barrel, the whole thing. You could barely drop into it, thing just grind. They can make like that wave be 3 different waves. Be a barrel the whole time, a slow high performance wave the whole time, and maybe a fast performance wave, whatever it may be. But have 3 different types of wave, 3 different categories, you know. So it isn't boring, you know. I'd love to see someone sit in the barrel the whole time. get a 40-second barrel. Would love to see that. And then would love to see Felipe Toledo show us how much faster he's going than everybody else, right? Because degree of difficulty changes as far as how, obviously if you're going faster, it's harder to do, So you see somebody lumbering and slow, you're like, but Felipe Toledo does things so much faster and does so many more maneuvers that you'd go, okay, look, he just did 35% more maneuvers and went 25% faster. That way you can really judge it, instead of it being subjective, I like the, what's it called? The gymnastics in the Olympics, because there's an artistical demerit and a technical demerit, Could be ugly as sin, but technically it was out of this world, or vice versa, And then if it's both, they're like technical and pretty shoots, you give it to them. But yeah, I like these specialty events that they're trying to do with surf, and I always, like you'd mentioned, the boat trips. I always thought those were great type of trips. I think they should bring back the air events again, because it seems like everyone just does one shoulder shrug and ramps down the line and loses the wave anyway and does an air. Yeah, give the kids something to look forward to, so they have something to strive and go for, so they don't just have to be on the world tour.
Yeah. Do you think that, like with the wave pool stuff, at any point in the future, you talked about gymnastics where it's like they give the judges, like, this is my run. Like, I'm going to do 3 carves, a freaking rodeo flip or whatever, and that'd be easier for scoring, right? But it's kind of like, whoa, as surfers in the nature, we're like kind of like, might be a little disconnect.
Right, but if your judges were like Torn Martin, Rostovich for the carving and style guys, and then you got the air guys, a couple air judges, and a couple high performance judges, you could cover the whole spectrum. Guys would probably agree. All 3 of those guys probably go, that was the most incredible, yeah, because there's just good surfing still. There's just good surfing, like just good surfing. To me, when I watch that Ethan Ewing guy, I'm like, he's just good surfing. No matter, he doesn't have to. His board doesn't have to leave the water. No, it's amazing.
Yeah, that Gold Coast comp was fucking gnarly. Just watching him, every turn, just his style is so sick too. Just limited movements, the way he just kind of.
As soon as we found out his mom won bells, like, this guy's next level, and he seems really modest and really just sort of humble. Yeah, just seems like a good bloke.
Quiet, kind of quiet but deadly type character. Super gnarly.
Deadly.
He's had some trouble though keeping consistency, like during heats, and with talking about you had 1 year on the pro tour and then many other years on the QS. Did you have like times where you felt like just the hot and cold streak was too frustrating, or what was the apex of your competitive?
There was never an apex. I don't think it was. If it happened, it happened so quickly and was so early in my career. I made it, but once I made it to where I needed to go, I wasn't surfing how I should have been surfing. You don't get boards like you get now. We got like one magic board back then. You kept it on ice in a cold room, and the board never saw the light of day unless it was in competition, So it was really hard, You get a good board and you might surf good for a half a year, or surf your best for a half a year. But I had a couple events, I'd say, were the apex of my career, that I surfed pretty well, or surfed probably as well as I could have at that time. Yeah. But there wasn't stretches of years where I was going, I was crushing it. No, I was so hot and cold. Like one day I'd surf good, next day I'd surf like crap. And then that's sort of what's cool about surfing. You see some of these guys that are just like really consistent. I mean, that's another level of confidence, and you see it right away. Like I love watching Nat surf for that. Nat is an incredibly confident surfer, wave for wave for wave. But if you also watch Nat, he can sit there for 10, 15 minutes and not even catch a wave and still be confident. I needed to catch a bunch of waves, small little ones, inside shooty ones, that one, this one. You ever see Sebastian Zeet surf?
Oh yeah.
So he incredibly gifted surfer, but incredibly gifted surfer under priority. He could catch a bunch of waves under you and just smash these little waves. And before you knew it, the time ran out and he got his 7s and you didn't get your 9s. So that was sort of the way I surfed, not like sea bass, but I was a bottom feeder. I surfed from the inside out, and was just hoping that by the time the clock ran out, my two medium scores were better than his one really good score and one average score.
Yeah. Well, so after that year where you made the tour and then you didn't requalify,
Yeah, I was out of there.
was that I know that you competed in the cold water and years after that, and you won the cold water after that, right?
Yeah.
So but was that kind of like it though, when you reached the ASB and then the next year, did you say like, I'm not going to try to requalify next year? Did you give it a
I
go?
tried to, actually.
Oh, you did?
I ended up getting like a third in the Gunston the year after that, you know.
Oh, cool.
When I wasn't, the year I didn't qualify. But we're talking about averages, you know. Like I had a shitty average, you know. I had to surf a lot of contests to get my average up. I forget what Gally said him and I did at one year. We did like 35 events, you know. We did the World Tour events, and then we did all the QS events, say 20 QS events, you know. And so to get our 8 events, we had to surf 20 of them, you know. So we spent a lot of money trying to buy points, and usually that's how it works, you know.
Wow, interesting. And Gally, he won. Was that the same year that he won Margaret's that you won the Gunston, or was that maybe a year after?
No, I didn't. I never won the Gunston. I just finaled the Gunston.
Oh,
yeah. That year at Margaret's when Gally won, that was an incredible year. We all had an amazing time with Pete and Flea and Barney. Massive trip over there, you know. Massive trip, like you could movie type trip.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What was it like surfing Margaret's back then? It was people were going left only, really.
Right. That year Gally won though, he was going right a couple times.
Oh, you know? Okay.
Yeah. It was, yeah. Yeah, shoot. I don't really know. We didn't look at Margaret's like they'd look at it now. Everyone was still going pretty left, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's a pretty new thing within the last, you know, however long they've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's nice about the ride, there's an end section, you know, where the section goes sort of flat and sort of wide on that left.
Yeah, it creates more like drama, impactful kind of finish for those guys.
Yeah, we loved Australia though. Those guys are awesome.
And so, like, when you're going to these contests, you're making them into, like, photo trips on the side, basically.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
So Tony Roberts would go on trips, or, Pete Frieden would go on trips, or we'd do a trip and then say maybe, we did that's all it was back then. We did tons of trips, you know, tons of surf trips, magazine trips and article trips, and it was pretty common when Santa Cruz was really popping to go, okay, look, Rat or Rockhold, what are you guys doing next month? Okay, got a trip, you know, we're going to Mexico. Yeah, we all went on trips together. Yeah.
Must have had just tons of funny stories and classic times.
And some hell stories, you know, some of the ones that stand out the most are the ones that went just sideways. Terrible.
Yeah, that's a question I asked Nat during his podcast here, was because you guys were traveling so much, like, I'm sure there might be more than one, but, like, what's the number one, like, hell story?
Did Rufo mention a crash landing?
No.
We went to, we're going to South Africa or something. I'm with Rufo, and we're on our way to London, I think, from the East Coast. And they said, hey, look, our hydraulics went out on our plane. We're going to make this crash. They called it a crash landing. There's no crash landing. This landing in Newfoundland, you know, and we'll send another plane out from Texas or something. But Rufo and I man the doors in the back, you know. We're all on like Valiums or something. We're out of it, sleeping pills, right? And Rufo and I both manned one door, and you know the whole rafts went down the whole bit. You know?
Wow!
We slid out those rafts and hung out in a Quantum hut, you know, this really big container hut for a day and a half or something until the other plane came out. But it was we had a couple pretty scary trips like that, you know, where things would go sideways in the air.
Yeah.
You know? Almost watching like things float in the plane before, you know.
Crazy.
Yeah. I had one with this guy, Russell Winter. He's a European champ, Russ, and we're on a terrible flight, and it has one of those really terrible turbulence things, man. And people were getting thrown around in the plane.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, you like buckle up, you know.
Wow.
But people having a hard time. Yeah. But usually it was a lot of driving stuff, you know. Like I remember driving in Argentina, having terrible times. I remember driving with David Gonzalez in France, and him just totaling cars, you know. And I mean, it seemed like it was more rock and roll back then. There wasn't a lot of prepping for the event the next day. Like We had sort of a lifestyle that we lived, and the competition was just sort of in the life, you know?
Right.
And yeah. I really wish, maybe in hindsight, go back over it, and I watch how the guys are training now and programmed now for competition, and maybe wish I was giving it a little more of a sort of a, you know, college effort like that.
Yeah. More of a
We didn't have the boards though, bro. We didn't have these boards. You know, you didn't get 5 or 6 boards that were exactly the same off the CAD computer. I got a couple boards from John Carper. He put his hands down on the boards. He prayed. I watched him. He didn't whip out the ruler after that one bit. He didn't whip out the tape measure, nothing. He prayed on the board.
Wow.
And wrote down what he said he was going to write down on the paper on the board. It never went back to a volume reading, and never went back to a let's check the references. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's something almost kind of cool about surfboard building that's been lost with all this computer shit and the technologies, and like the, you know, the days of grabbing a board, putting it under your arm and being like, just feeling it, getting that feeling.
Yeah.
And people kind of over, you know, tripping out on
Yeah.
every little thing, and just try it out. And if it works, then it works good, and fucking run with it. But, you know, we'll talk about more about your surf shop now, but what's your whole idea about just the computer revolution with surfboard shaping?
Oh,
Because it
I
seems like
got
you
a
liked
pretty
it.
cynical take on it, but I like to just heckle the whole thoughts of it, because look, we're all trying to educate ourselves more, right? We'd all like to know exactly what it is in our board that would make it perfect, right? And match to us and go, this board's magic. I'd love to get a bunch of these. But we really can't do that. And they're all sort of one-offs, and they change every time. But now we have these surfers, me too, you know, from the last 5-6 years. Maybe they're 6-year pros, people that just started maybe before COVID. So they're 7-year surfers that never knew anything but the volume calculator, knew anything but boards that came in, you know, increments of 3-liter changes, you know. We just that's sort of just sort of a new thing, them standardizing and with volume and size, and but we're having surfers now that are 7-year pros, just started surfing 7 years, that know more about this than I do.
Yeah.
They know more about the technology, know more about the volume, than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I can apply it better. You know, I could look at a board and go, I know how this board's going to ride. I'm going to surf the way this board should be surfed. And the board doesn't change. I do.
Yeah.
You know? And so people now have gotten all this information, all this data, computer programs and volume readings and stuff, and have come to the conclusion that if they have the right numbers, the board's going to be perfect. And it just doesn't work that way, you know? Mm-hmm. Every board has a different personality. You know, boards work different on different days. I was talking to my partner a little while ago who was at that wave pool. It was Alistair, and he's like, man, I got this new board. Think it's the best board I've ever ridden. He's like, I rode the other board in the pool too. Best board I've ever ridden. I'm like, boss, you know, you're going like 17, 18 miles an hour on that wave, you know? Sewer Peak's going at like 13 or 12 or something, just turtling, right? But of course, you're going to go really fast and take some of these high-performance shortboards out. They're going to feel amazing. But on an average day at Pleasure Point, that board's a dog.
Yeah.
A total dog.
For sure.
You know, it seems like at Pleasure Point, if you get a good wave after you catch it, which is probably a challenge because there's people everywhere, you probably wish you were on a fish after you caught it. You know, you want to be gliding around and being able to maximize the slope of the face. But yeah. Forget where I was going with that, but
Well, yeah, we were just talking about
the 7-year pro knowing what he knows more than I know.
Yeah.
I've been doing it a long time. Yet I don't want to ever tell someone what to ride.
right.
You know, if they come in there and grab that little thing and they're 6'4" and they want a 5'10" because it's got 40 liters, I'm like, yeah, take it, dude. Mm-hmm. But all your extremities hanging off the board, all the drag. If I'm paddling next to that guy, I'm gonna smoke him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about, you know, this environment? So just for the listeners and the viewers, Adam, a couple of years ago, he built this new business, YB Surfboards, Quality Surfboards, where they sell used surfboards. And the question that I had was, how do you kind of, having all this knowledge not get like annoyed when people come in there, know-it-all guys, like 7-year pros, just do
Yeah.
your best to steer them in the right direction. If they don't want to listen,
I'm
then
going to
you
be
just-
totally honest. I'm a part of the problem. You know what I mean? I'm a total part of the problem. Worked in a surf shop for 20 years, was a surfer, got paid to surf. Of course, I get sort of frustrated with some people when they come to the shop and they're asking sort of the wrong question and not really focusing on the right thing. But I need to be more patient. You know, I've been pretty lucky, really lucky, and the people that are coming in usually are pretty nice. You know, they just want some good education. You know, you want to help them. But when you do come across people that come in there that, like I said, know way more than you, and they're telling you what they like and telling you how they surf and where they surf and how much they surf and how much they rip. Yeah, I just sort of shut up, you know. I just like, or sometimes egg them on and yeah, can I see a picture?
yeah.
But look, when you're working in the surf shop, like I said, you're part of the problem. You know, if you're listening to this broadcast, you're probably a part of the problem too. You know, like we're all in this together. We all love to surf. Unfortunately, it's just gotten incredibly crowded. And I'll bring this point up too. When I remember in 1986 or 7, Sea Trend came out with this pink wetsuit. We all got it. Marcel, we all got these pink wetsuits. And there was groups of us, 5, 6 packs of us, 5 or 6 people paddling out at one time. And the people at Sewer Peak were still wearing black wetsuits, zips up the back, the whole bit, you know. And we got heckled, heckled, you know. And like men putting their hands on you heckled, you know, like dunking you, take your wetsuit off, flush you, heckle you. So I do remember what it used to be like, you know, and it wasn't that cool, you know. I want people to go out there and have a good time. But yeah, it's changed a lot. It's changed quite a bit, you know, but I like it the way it used to be. But right now you go down the Pleasure Point, it's pretty nice, man.
Oh,
it's a nice
yeah.
place to be.
For
It's
sure.
packed though. It looks like Malibu out there, bro.
Yeah.
It's Malibu.
Yeah.
Like on any given day, there's 100 people at Pleasure Point, right? And you'd mentioned earlier, where's it translating? It's like the surf industry is sort of suffering, but there's like all these new channels to buy surf stuff. You know, you can buy it online. You can go to so-and-so. You don't have to go to a surf shop anymore to buy surf. So, yeah, bottom's sort of fallen out of the mom and pop surf shop. But hopefully people like Freeline, like your shirt right there, sort of benefit from, say, Billabong being gone or something, you know.
Yeah, and just based on the fact too that they're been in business for 50 years or whatever it is now, and that same with O'Neill. It's like hopefully they can, you know, ride this storm out, because I know that they're all kind of
It's all changing too.
hurting.
It's all changing, you know, like most of the surf shop now are like online portals to, they sell everything out of their store, you know, where for years you go to the store and you buy it, you know. Now they're like, oh, you don't have it, we'll send it to you from our shop, you know. And so now people are doing shipping and receiving from surf shops, and we're shipping a lot of boards out of our YB shop. We're sending them to Hawaii, back east, up north, sort of bizarre. But the secondhand board market's crushing it.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more. When you mentioned that these boards might be leaving your shop going somewhere else, do you guys have a website or something?
Yeah, we got a website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's Your Board or YB or whatever it is, but yeah, we got a website. We got an Instagram site that just crushes it. You know, we sell 2, 3, 4, 5 boards a day. You know, we do really good. We refer a lot of our business too to people like Freeline, O'Neill's. We have Sunny California that just came in across the street from us too. Looks like they're going to set up a nice space in there. After the loss of Billabong and Buell, you know, we sort of lost that surf customer draw down to that end of the street. So it's nice to see some of these vacancies getting, you know, filled up.
Yeah.
I heard Stussy's coming in.
Really?
Yeah, I heard Stussy's coming into the old Visla shop, which is that Novak's building right down there where Proctor lives.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sick.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I know, they're epic.
Yeah, Stussy is a pretty cool company.
Totally.
Back early 90s, kind of late 80s, they're around.
Totally.
Well, cool. So surfboards now,
Yep.
they're a lot of money brand new
Yep.
for a good reason. These people, you know, the intellectual property, the value of that is a lot, the work that they put in, the amount of people who are involved in making a board start to finish.
Yep.
How much of that retail value does a brand new surfboard lose with a week worth of surfing if you wanted to go turn that around?
You know, depending on who that week of surfing is with. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you give that board to Matt Lansing. You know Matt. Mm-hmm. That board's smoked.
Yeah.
1 week, that board's taking the bike. It's got fin key holes in it, and it's got a broken leash. It's probably worth, you know, if Matt paid $750 for it. I'm using an example. I got one of his boards right now that he bought off the rack at O'Neill's. Probably paid $800 for it. We'll probably sell it for $600. But I'll probably sell it for $550. It'll list for for $6, and we'll take $550 for it. But it's a nice looking Merrick, you know. So there's $300 right there, right off the top. But what I'm really trying to do is try to bring in the bottom up. I vet the boards. We look at the boards that we bring into our YB shop, make sure that they're good quality, good conditioned boards. Check the fin boxes. Check it. Sometimes things do pass through our quality control, but we try to make sure that they're all really good boards. But I don't sell them cheap.
Yeah.
I don't sell them cheap at all.
Right.
You know, I really do think that, like you're mentioning, the property, the craftsmanship, the amount of time and energy it goes into some of these boards are worth the value that they get. I do think the secondhand customer, though, reaps the benefits of that board. You know, they're able to get the upside of that board. They pay less money with a great product, and they're able to maintain that. If they're able to maintain it, they could have a board, some of these Firewires and some of these other boards last for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to sell boards, you know, into that $500, $600, $700 range, you know, used, and but they're worth it. They come in there, you'll see, like, they're barely used. Some of them are barely used, and those are the boards I'm going after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are the days of selling a kind of a yellow, maybe sealed board, but it looks like it's been through hell? I remember in the surf shops, you'd be kind of pawn those off for at least cheap, but it seems like it's like a little bit harder to do that now. People aren't really looking to go buy a used board if it's beat to a certain level. Is that where your quality control kind of comes into play?
I've gone to the other, you know, like if you went to Aero Surf and Sport on the west side, they got hundreds of boards, you know, a lot of really good boards in there. But they do have quite a few beaters, you know, probably boards that I would pass on,
Right.
you know. But they're boards that need to be sold. He's got the retail space to sell them. He can sell them. I'm trying to maintain a certain quality, so per board I maintain a certain value. It does me a disservice to have a board in there that I only make $25 on it if it's sat in there for 4 months.
Yeah.
And I sell it for $100. You know.
Yeah, you're like looking at the volume of the space that one surfboard takes up, doing all the equations in your mind. Well, is it worth this thing sitting here? You know.
And two, our surf shop's about the size of this room. You know, it's really small. Size of your bathroom, Neil. It's a small place, so we do try to turn and burn quite a bit. I'll suck up some of my commission to sell a board. You know, if I know that I can just sell this board, you know, get that capital moving. You know, the real upside to selling used boards is selling the accessories. You know, pads, leash, and fins. And so if you're able to do that and ding them there, you can carve out a little niche for yourself selling secondhand boards, which is sort of nice because you don't have all that overhead of the cost of the goods. You know, I'm using other people's money to make money.
One thing that I saw on YB's Instagram that I thought was really cool was that I think maybe every once in a while you guys might be donated or gifted a board, and at some point, I don't know how I make that decision or if it's a spur of the moment thing, but I've been seeing that some kids who, you know, needed a new board or maybe getting gifted a board. Yeah. Or how did that all start? Because that's pretty cool.
Just by some of the customers coming in, and I'm just being honest with them about their board. I said, hey, look, this board's from 1995. It's sort of obsolete. It's very narrow. It's got a lot of rocker. And they say, hey, look, I don't want anything for it. Do you mind donating it? Yeah. Okay. Someone comes in and says, hey, look, I live actually in Modesto. I have a swimming pool at my house. I really want to start to get into surfing. I want a surfboard while I'm down here at the beach. And I said, hey, try this board. This is for an example. There was a guy on our web, whatever. I gave him a board. He lives in Fresno. He's like, I want to take it surfing. I couldn't duck dive, and I have to learn how to duck dive. And I just gave him the board. I said, hey, take the board. You can take it back to Fresno in your pool. I think the pool's the best place to learn how to duck dive. And I said, hey, Google John Florence duck dive in the pool, so you can see how somebody dolphin dives across the whole entire pool if you want to learn how to duck dive.
Yeah.
But yeah, we give people like that boards, you know, and then eventually came back and gave the board back to us, you know. But I like to give boards. Like I gave Sean Dollar 4 or 5 boards a week ago. He donated them to the New Brighton Middle School kids and the kids at SoCal High that wanted some guns.
That's amazing.
It was a man on the other side of town who passed away up at Scott's. His father got a hold of me, got like 6 or 7 boards, and then giving them to the Salinas Surf School or the surf club in Salinas that does great work down there, helping underprivileged kids get in the ocean.
That's super rad. I like that.
Yeah.
And how many employees do you guys have there now? I know that Zach's there and Richie as well.
And Noe Kloyo Kukui.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And
I haven't seen him around.
I know. He's stealth.
Stealth guy.
Stealth. I think he's going to start work. I think he went to go interview at Joby. Hopefully he'll get a job there. But he's a great employee. I'm sad to see him go. He's a master salesman. He's good with all the customers and knows all the boards and all the product. Hopefully we'll find somebody else to sort of fill his shoes. But yeah, we're a small store. We're only open 5 days a week, Wednesday to Sunday. But yeah, come in and check us out. We love good quality surfboards. We love to sell good quality surfboards. We take 25%. So people always ask me, what do you guys take? 25%. But it doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't go up in a percentage over time. Other consignment stores will go up, every month, say 10%, 5%.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So eventually you just might as well give the guy your board, if it sits in there for a while.
And I think that's a really cool feeling. In the years that I worked at surf shops, when you have somebody come in there and you give them the time, the attention, and you give them something of value, which is, based off of your inherent experience in the water, you really see these people, when somebody's really getting taken care of by somebody who knows what they're doing, you can tell they feel so stoked to have that attention. But it seems like maybe at a different surf shop, a more corpo one, you might have like a 16-year-old kid who doesn't have that experience, So I think that's where, it's great that you guys are all diehard surfers, know everything that you need to know, basically.
And we're pretty honest to the point where we probably wouldn't sell you a board if we didn't think it was right for you.
Yeah.
Which sometimes, sort of bites us in the butt, could have sold that board to somebody, but I'd rather have them come back and say, hey, look, that was a really good buy. I'm really glad you sort of steered me in that direction. Versus them come back and say, hey, look, this board doesn't float me. Because that's the first sign right away, is that someone mispurchased the board, is that it doesn't float.
Yeah.
They're either skewed on their volume, they're not honest about their own weight or their own ability, or a number of things,
Well, I think that's where integrity of intentions comes into play. Like that appreciation that they show you when you give it to them straight.
Yeah.
If you're being particularly honest or even turning them away, most of the time they seem to value that as well. And then on the other side of it, it's like kids back in the day would like break their boards and throw fucking some spray paint over it, put their sponsor sticker on it and put it in the surf shop. And it's like, I never really did that because I would feel horrible. The person who got it, had a sesh and the thing's just folds, So yeah, it's pretty cool that you guys are doing it. I'm glad, you had all that time at Billabong and that experience, and now you're doing it into something where it seems like more of a core type of endeavor.
Yeah, but I'm really trying to put up the white flag to selling surfboards and bring up the I'm selling houses flag.
Yeah,
with our Instagram, it's gotten pretty popular, and people just know me for selling surfboards. I just sell the YB thing. Like I really would rather be known for selling houses, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just haven't got the confidence of the people spending the millions yet. I had the confidence in the people that are spending the hundreds.
Yeah.
So there's a big bridge here I need to, hurdle.
Well, the road to Rome wasn't paved overnight,
Yeah, but you don't bring cheeky humor into selling a house. You know what I mean? Like I can screw with people and fuck with people about surfboards.
Yeah.
I know a lot about them. I know a lot about them. I know how, if someone tells me the right information, I pretty much can steer them in the right direction. But I really like fucking with the people who give me the wrong information. I can see it because I can tell that it's the wrong information. But then still trying to get them the right board.
Yeah.
Because that's the trick. Someone's going, I do this and you do this and you do this. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, no, you don't. No, you don't. I don't do that. And you're 25 pounds more than me. And that board's 4 liters less than I ride, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to do, Neil. Like I'm having like a midlife crisis, 55, trying to figure out how to live in Santa Cruz, you know? Surf industry was great for me, and had a great run. But, you know, right now I'd rather, you know, give up a little surf stuff for some more success in a different area, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, talking about the, you know, the struggle and your life post pro surfing,
Yeah.
you had mentioned to me that, you know, in recent years, you've had to kind of put the hands out for the dole a little bit.
Yeah.
Get Medi-Cal, food
Yeah.
stamps, stuff like that. Or
Yep, I got denied on the stamps, but yeah, the stamp people found out that I make dinner with my wife or my fiance 4 nights a week, and that you can't do that.
Oh.
Because then she's contributing to the.
Yeah.
But hey, look, I'm stoked to get on the Medi-Cal. I didn't have insurance for the 6 months, and you know, actually, the tax man taxes you $80 a month for a fine if you don't have health insurance.
I didn't know that.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. You figure it out when you do that. You go do your taxes, and the person goes, "Hey, Adam, you didn't have insurance. It looks like Billabong stopped 4 months. You have 8 months no insurance." I'm like, "Yeah, got away with one there. I didn't get injured." She's like, "Well, actually, you're going to get fined $80 a month. So 6 times 8, 48."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
not-
I mean, it's
I just
humbling.
sneeze
Bro.
at.
It's really humbling being in the position that I'm in. Really humbling, you know. And I don't deserve whatever. I don't deserve anything, you know. I have to reinvent myself and do something else. Get creative. Start thinking about how to you know, turn one into two, and that's really sort of the plan, you know. I'm not going to sit back and just drown, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stay busy and make something happen. If it's not the YB shop, it's going to be real estate. If it's not real estate, shoots. I don't know. If I can live here another 10 years, though, I own a house here, figure another 10 years, and then just sell out then and just say la vie.
Where would you go? Would you go somewhere warm, tropical?
I don't know. Everyone says there's some warm exit strategy place. I don't know where that is, you know, but no, I don't know. Just maybe I wouldn't even move, dude. You know where am I going to go? This is heaven on earth here. My front yard is like paradise, to be honest with you. Yeah. So between like 2 and 4 in the afternoon, paradise. Between 2 and 5, paradise. Yeah. I don't know. This place isn't bad, man. I've been around the world. This is not a bad place, man. It does have its faults. Santa Cruz has some terrible problems, you know, traffic and homelessness and drugs, but that's like any other place, you know.
Yeah, taken in a context about all the places you could live around the world.
World-class mountains. You want to go mountain biking? World-class mountain biking. Great surfing. You want to drown? Go to Mavericks. You want to get tubed? Go to OB. There's some slabs, you know. You want to challenge yourself in heavy water? Yeah, it's an awesome place to live. Just really challenging to live here. Expensive to live here. And,
expensive, and then you also have to be able to manage your disappointment with how things have changed and your inability to control those changes.
Marcel said it. This isn't my quote, but Marcel told me one day, he's like, "Adam, I'm like a Native American Indian." I'm like, "Whoa." He's like, "I like it the way it used to be."
Yeah, classic.
But no, you know, Pleasure Point in the 80s was nice and sort of run down. You know, a sort of lower income. It wasn't really bought up like it is now. But look, I have daughters, man, and I want them to walk to Pleasure Point and feel safe and not have to be catcalled every other block. You know, and so now it's pretty nice down there. You know.
Yeah, I just all the time I spent hanging out on the rail at the point, it would just be so funny. The girls would run by. I mean, I don't know why they were doing that in the first place, but they would run by and then they'd be like on the coast side of the road, and then like to get around everyone sitting on the slab or the rail, they would just kind of like veer around and like, God, people were just saying the gnarliest shit, like fucking tongue my shitter or whatever, dude. You're like, this is beautiful woman running by. And you're like, dude, I don't know if that's gonna work, bro. Like,
and if you look back on the photographs of that time, probably like 80, 88, 89 into the late 90s, savage.
Yeah.
Savage.
Oh,
Savage, bro.
super gnarly.
Super savage. When heroin hit Pleasure Point with my group, it went nuts. And that's sort of when I left. I left right when Jeff Lansing had just passed away. I was living on the east side on 34th Avenue, Shane Barry's house, or Tony Mike's little house right there across from TR. And I moved to the west side. It got pretty gnarly. Like my group that was surfing at Pleasure Point started partying pretty hard. You know? And a lot of them didn't make it, man. A lot of them are dead.
Yeah.
Straight up dead, gone.
For sure.
And I was lucky to go onto the west side, lived with Mark Taylor in Munster, hung out with Frog. They had a house there on Young Love over there, so I lived with them for a little while until I moved in with Munster on Dufour. But I was really lucky to be surrounded around guys like, Richard Schmidt and Munster and, Zach and Nate and Barney and all those guys right there on that street.
Yeah, it felt like to me, as far as like, I'm sure obviously partying and drugs were around at all times, different types of drugs, but in the 90s, it felt like the heroin, early 90s through the mid 90s, really bad heroin.
Yeah.
And then like, that's when you leave to go over to the west side. But then like 1999 to 2006 or 7, it's like, here comes this other evil is methamphetamine.
Yeah.
What was it like being around that kind of stuff and seeing your friends get really sick with that illness?
I was pretty lucky that I started dating my ex-wife around that time. It was like 99, 97, 98, 99. Mm-hmm. And a couple of these guys got big contracts, like these guys were running big money, I don't know how much Flea was making, how much Barney was making. They were making good money.
Yeah.
Real good money. Enough to buy a house, good money. But when that substance came in and that lifestyle came in, these guys had a tremendous, fanfare and friends and the money. And I was lucky that as soon as that started, I kicked out and started making a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I had Mackenzie in 2004, my daughter in 2004, and then the other one in 2006. So it was a great diversion right then for that time. I would still see my friends. I was surfing quite a bit. I still surfed a lot.
Yeah.
But I didn't party like that. I still liked my morning time, and but it was all around me. All those big wave events that we went up to Oregon and stuff, and we were at Mavericks quite a bit. Man, it was pretty amazing. Those guys were charging, and believe me, it was scary too. We knew it was all around us. It was pretty obvious what was going on. Mm-hmm. It was so obvious that we just had to accept it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it was so normalized at a certain point.
Right.
With everyone doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just desensitized to like the enormity of what they're actually doing to their bodies, their brains, the people around them that care about them, and
it just became like coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super coffee.
Super coffee,
Mm-hmm.
And look, I was not going to be a hypocrite for sitting there smoking my weed and having some Coors Lights. I wasn't going to be a guy to poke a hole in somebody else for what their crutch was, right?
Right.
But it did get to a point where there was a disassociation, where you wouldn't see people for months at a time, days at a time.
Did you see any their like personalities start to change from like being up all night and getting all weird?
Look, when we were tow surfing quite a bit, a couple of guys were pretty hyped up, and you could see a lot of how their personality changed when either driving or behind or surfing. But obviously there were certain things when traveling that you notice especially when you're going overseas, or Mexico or, places where either your sleeping pattern is different or whatever, and then you're stuck in a room with somebody.
Yeah.
You really get to see the little details, about something.
For sure.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, just like the weird shit that happens at 3 a.m, like with just like a bunch of dudes hanging out together, like.
Yeah, and during that time, a lot of people were partying. There's a lot of money too.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was just talking about Santa Cruz guys kind of getting rewarded to have this kind of, this air of like rebelliousness to them, and even through I'm sure it's just like with AI and his handlers, these guys who are handling our friends who are pros into that stuff, they must have known what was going on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're
Knew what
just
was going
yeah, it's almost kind of strengthening the mystique or something in a weird fucked up way.
Yeah, I think the people that in the know knew what was going on. Yeah. I remember one time we were at the trade show, one of those trade shows down south, and I ran into Beshin, and Shane goes, I won't even mention the people he's going to tell me. He's like, hey, you tell your buddy, you tell so-and-so and so-and-so that they're not pulling it off, bro. And this is probably mid-90s, you know. It was all that, like, it was just like black flies and parties at the trade show, and, you know, it was just raging.
Yeah,
you know,
Black Flies videos.
And it was part of the culture. That partying was a part of the culture. I remember, like I forget, you know, I don't know if it was like, like someone got thrown in jail or something. I swear, his street cred spiked. He got paid more. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so and so got, you know, like gnarly guys. You know,
Yeah,
they had radical talent. You know.
well, that's, I mean, an amazing thing to be. Okay, before I go on that, do you think that if you hadn't have had this family life started, you mentioned that you didn't like to be hungover, but was there any part of you that might have had an addictive personality that could have found yourself sitting right next to these guys? And
100%.
yeah.
Oh, I have that. Yeah. I think anybody that does it long enough can give themselves a hand-to-mouth disease.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's a pretty easy one, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Of course. I do think I have some tendencies there for sure, you know. And just looking at my family, like, it's pretty obvious that they probably pass some things down to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but knowing that and then being able to go, okay, look, you know, that's too good. You can't continue to do that, you know. Yeah. I was lucky that I got hungover though. You know, some people who don't get hangovers very bad, they can torture themselves again really easily. You know, I felt terrible. Like I say, reevaluate my whole life, hungover, head hurt.
Especially like anything with some like speed in it or a stimulant. That
I didn't know what you're getting, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool that you know, were able to make it through that unscathed. You know, you weren't a fucking perfect angel, but
No. I mean, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you didn't win the contest, you won the nightlife. That was our group, you know. And we had fun when we did it. We looked back and went, man, we probably could have been a little more professional, but we had a hell of a time and did good.
Yeah.
And look, the people above us here, not so much Pleasure Point, but in Santa Cruz, say Richard Schmidt, Vince Collier, or Ward Coffee, or Bud Miller. Those guys were already in the magazines and stuff when we were kids. You know, we're opening up at the magazines in junior high, and you're seeing a spread of Ward Coffee at you know, up north, and you see a spread of Anthony Rufo. You know, and that was like those are polarizing times as a child. You know, you're like, oh, the magazine was huge, and then you see, whoa, actually Wally has a cover, or Charlie Heitman has a cover. You know. Yeah, so I was sort of starstruck by those guys, and they lived in my own town, you know. So when we went to the Civic Auditorium for the surf movies and stuff, because there used to be 1 movie, 2 movies a year that came out. We'd go to the Civic, and the place would rage. Lights would turn off. Lighters were going off. Balls getting flown around. It wasn't until the big bomb went off in there one year. A bomb went off, like an M80. Someone had a quarter stick of dynamite or something, and blew something up in the Civic.
Gnarly.
And sort of put an end to that, but. Yeah, surfing was on such a rise. Boards were getting better right then, you know. Gosh, anyway. I think that anybody starting surfing right now would have the same feeling that we did 40 years ago, you know.
It doesn't
and
change.
that doesn't change. So that's why when I see people that are all geeked out and all stoked on it and all new, I tap into those people. Especially the young kids that come into my shop, like really young ones that are all geeking out. I just rub up on those guys all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that energy.
Yeah, because, well, you know how it feels.
I know how it feels. And I'm like I can tell when these kids are going to sleep with their board. You know what I mean? This guy's sleeping in his wetsuit. That board is next to him.
And it's crazy how, like, at that age, it's like there's the little things that are so significant. I remember when I was a kid, like my next door neighbor Rhett, we would hang out at his house, look at all the old surf magazines from the 80s, and there was like 20 or 30 different types of like wax companies out in the late 80s, early 90s, and we'd be smelling them all, and like stickers were so cool. And so just the froth, that's never gonna die, I think.
No.
Especially if surfing
I think
is
we
involved.
all sort of try to live in that state a little bit,
Yeah, rekindle the magic somehow.
Yeah, you can get pretty dull, I think, if you just, if you stay sort of complacent on just going through the motions of it. But I like seeing people evolve. I haven't tried it yet, but that foil surfing looks pretty fun. I got really into toe surfing for a while. That was fun, but it takes energy, it takes money and gas, and I don't have either one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that foil surfing, maybe the future there for me. Do some foiling. It looks like nice for people who like to carve. And heard the learning curve is really flat for a little while, and you might just get a switchblade to the head if you're not careful.
Yeah. Like Sumitomo-san.
I saw that.
Bro, heavy. Yeah.
But I want to maybe get into snowboarding as I get older, mountain biking. Things that I can do with other people and have fun with it. Like surfing's like, I've been out when we're surfing now, like we're sharing waves, bro. Like I'm burning you and we're crossing over. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, Homer Hennard does it all the time out of spite.
Yeah.
We like to carve all around each other, Like if I see him on a good wave or we're at Scott's or something, I drop it in and I'm going left all over him, just carve. And so I'm really getting into switchbacks.
Dude, it's super fun.
Crossovers with friends.
Yeah, with Mark Weeby, my best friend, we get on a wave and we don't even really have to even do hand signals. No. It's all, because I'm goofy foot, he's regular foot. We're just carving around this figure eight city. And just
Marcel and I got one, that last big swell in like January. Remember the big swell? One. Marcel and I got a massive wave, way outside Pleasure Point, like the biggest wave I've surfed out there, probably. Anyway, we did cutbacks all around each other, all the way past into the stairs at 38.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psyching. But yeah, I think just enjoying it more with friends, and I'm enjoying being on the beach more, watching more, and just enjoying that time too, and just like any aspect of it,
What other things in life are you finding that stoke to, whereas it used to be all surf, but now it's like just something quirky that you might be interested in? I know you got on the real estate stuff, but
yeah, I know I like doing things for my kids that satisfy me. Yeah, that satisfy them. That's where I get off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like cool. That's my purpose.
And where are they at in their lives right now?
One just graduated from the University of Reno, Mackenzie, and she's in like Italy right now. And the other one, Presley, she works at Zen and also works at Hopscotch out in Aptos.
Cool.
Full-time little workers, and just, they're great little kids doing exactly what they should be doing, challenging their parents and getting education and doing their messing up when they're young, Yeah.
And your beautiful fiance, Maya.
Maya Negre. Yeah,
she's amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah, she's probably working right now at the Capitola Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And she's helping them get ready for, all kinds of events, but majority of the time it's the Art and Wine Festival that she works on and helps them out with.
Bitchin'.
Yeah.
Well, she seems like a really good, chapter in your life.
Oh, man. Telling me. Yeah, really good. Like, she helped me get through my first hip surgeries. I mean, as you know, you need people around you if you're going to do that surgery. But had her go through that with me. She's been through some ups and downs with my kids, through my end of my divorce. She's a saint, this gal. I'll tell you what, a total saint. So, yeah, I try not to even let people see her. I try to keep her locked in a box at my house. Yeah. When I go out around town, I keep her in the car.
Yeah,
I crack the window for her.
Leave a treat.
I just don't. Yeah, you just want to expose something you're too stoked on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing like having a beautiful lady in your life, and
huge. She's a great support, and
super talented too.
Amazingly talented. Yeah, she just did the Wharf to Wharf poster this year, so keep your eye out for that. It's a really, really cool poster.
Okay.
And she's just working her tail off.
Sick. Well, Adam, this has been pretty fun to chat with you.
Yeah,
I think we covered a lot of ground, and there's
stuff I didn't even think we would probably talk about.
Yeah. Well, that's
awesome.
how it happens when you don't really prepare and you just go shoot from the hip.
I've already forgotten what I've said, so
yeah.
I'll
We'll refresh your memory when it comes out.
Someone else will. I'll never hear this, Neil. You know that, right?
Well, I don't pick up magazines that I've written in,
Well, I don't like to hear my voice.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I won't hear my voice.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back and listen to this stuff because I go and edit and I'll put in like a little clip or like a photo or something. I just listen to myself say or like or or totally. But
if you want to see some pictures of me when my nickname used to be Dumpling.
Yeah.
Not used to be like the guys that really hit me still hit me with that one.
Yeah, we'll get some dumpling archive photos for this.
You better.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, you guys check out Adam's shop, YB Your Board Surf Shop Quality Boards. It's on 41st.
Yeah.
Right, a couple hop, skips, and jumps away from Freeline.
Right, 884 41st Avenue, right there by Taqueria Vallarta, in between David Adams and Taqueria Vallarta, right there.
And how do people find out more information about your real estate stuff? Instagram? They can contact you there?
Yeah, for sure. I'm working with Alistair Kraft. He's the brains behind, I'm just really sort of sidecarring him right now, learning the ropes. And so anytime I am working with somebody, I just get Alistair involved right away. Therefore, then I get really, tied into the process, read up on every transaction, every email, every type of correspondence. Just give me a holler. I'm in the book. I'm on Instagram, but it's Adam. I think it's adam.replogle@Sereno is my email. But yeah, just get a hold of us. Alistair and I both live in town here, so if you guys are looking to sell your house or want to buy one, let us know. We're tapped into the community here, into the neighborhoods, and give us a ring.
Sick. Well, Adam, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. I don't want to like gush, but like you and Pete and all those guys when I was a little kid, it was just like, you guys are all over my walls, and it was so cool to be able to surf with your heroes. And
that's what I was mentioning to you earlier about like seeing Ward Coffey or Vince Collier or Richard Schmidt. I eventually was hanging with those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys were in the mag,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
It's a trip.
Yeah.
Total trip. But yeah, as we get older, we're just old carps and, talking about that past, but I'm looking to the future now. I'm just trying to, get better as I get older, dude.
Yeah. Well, you got a great attitude and you're a legend around here. Heal yourself up and then we'll have to get you to come back on here at some other point and drag you in here.
Yeah, for sure, Neil. Right on it.
All right. Well, this has been the Split Peak Suit Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney. We're part of the Santa Cruz Vibes Podcast Network. And
cool.
Yeah, the magazine comes out quarterly. So the summer issue should come out in like a month or so. So pick one up where you can. And until the next time, this has been Split Peak Soup.
Wow.
You.